I'm continuing my reading, and what I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. Right now, excuse me, I am continuing in 2 Samuel. I'll be in 2 Samuel for a little while, interspersing it with the Psalms. And right now, this is chapter 14. Now, I think I will be doing this in 2 videos, but we will see as we go along. Let us just start reading chapter 14. Joab arranges by artifice to bring Absalom home after 3 years. After 2 more years, Absalom sees the king, and they are reconciled. Now, it's been a while since I read, so just to refresh our memories, we had David and Bathsheba's affair. Shortly after that, David's son Amnon raped his sister Tamar. And it was 2 years after that that Absalom killed Amnon. And Absalom runs into hiding, goes to his uncle's house. So, that's where we're at. Now we have this. Now Joab, the son of Zeruiah, perceived that the king's heart was toward Absalom. And Joab sent to Tekoa, and fetched thence a wise woman, and said unto her, I pray thee, feign thyself to be a mourner, and put on now mourning apparel, and anoint not thyself with oil, but be as a woman that had a long time mourned for the dead, and come to the king, and speak on this manner unto him. So Joab put the words in her mouth. So Joab is saying, when it says he perceived the king's heart was towards Absalom, this means even though Absalom has fled, David still loves his son. And he recognized that Amnon was wicked in raping his sister, and he doesn't really want to punish Absalom. He didn't do anything to punish Amnon because his own guilt with Bathsheba kind of made it hard for him to enforce anything like that. And he doesn't want to punish Absalom for his revenge. And he still loves his son, but he can't actively go back and bring him back because of how it would look to the people. This is all creating a very sour atmosphere in the royal court of Israel. So, here we go. Verse 4. And when the woman of Tekoa spake to the king, she fell on her face to the ground, and did obeisance, and said, Help, O king. And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, I am indeed a widow woman, and mine husband is dead, and thy handmaid had 2 sons. And they 2 strove together in the field, and there was none to part them, but the one smote the other and slew him. And behold, the whole family is risen against thine handmaid. And they said, Deliver him that smote his brother, that we may kill him, for the life of his brother whom he slew. And we will destroy the heir also, and so they shall quench my coal which is left, and shall not leave to my husband neither name nor remainder upon the earth. And the king said unto the woman, Go to thine house, and I will give charge concerning thee. And the woman of Tekoa said unto the king, My lord, O king, the iniquity be on me and on my father's house, and the king and his throne be guiltless. And the king said, Whosoever saith aught unto thee, bring him to me, and he shall not touch thee any more. Then said she, I pray thee, let the king remember the Lord thy God, that thou wouldest not suffer the revengers of blood to destroy any more, lest they destroy my son. And he said, As the Lord liveth, there shall not one hair of thy son fall to the earth. Then the woman said, Let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak one word unto my lord the king. And he said, Say on. We're going to pause this here. This is a intriguing thing. She's basically telling the same story of what happened between Absalom and Amnon. 2 sons in the field fighting, one kills the other. and is now apparently in hiding, and the people are saying to turn him over so he can be executed according to the law. This is exactly what happened with Absalom and Amnon. Absalom killed Amnon and is now in hiding, and there probably are people who are saying we need to bring him out and have him executed because of what he did. She's basically telling the king's story, but she's telling it as if it was her son's. So she's very much like Nathan's parable of the ewe lamb to reveal David's sin with Bathsheba. She is giving him this story to show him that he is not acting quite right in this situation. Now, I will say that this whole story poses a very moral dilemma, because Amnon raping his sister, according to the law, he should have been executed. When he wasn't, Absalom in his mind anyways, is simply serving the justice that should have been served 2 years earlier. And it wasn't. And so can we actually kill Absalom? Because Absalom, as this is the Revengers of Blood, so the Revengers of Blood generally is only for actual murder. So if you kill somebody, then their near relatives can't avenge their death by killing you unless you flee to a city of refuge. That's all part of the law of Moses. That doesn't specifically apply to rape, however. But Absalom is kind of taking that and applying it to the rape and all that. And so can we really condemn Absalom for killing Amnon? It is somewhat morally ambiguous here. Probably he is guilty. But at the same time, because of David's own actions, is David justified in condemning it? So it's all a very convoluted thing. David is the one that created this problem. And so one of the things he promises the woman here, he says, he tells her, look, you go, I'll take care of it. She says, oh, no, it's on me. I have to take care of it. Just promise me protection. Promise me that my son will not be hurt, and I'll settle the whole thing as long as I have that protection. And he says, yes, you got that protection. I will not let anybody harm your son. And now she's going to ask for one more thing. So here we go, verse 13. And the woman said, wherefore, not going to ask for one, he's going to say one more thing. And the woman said, excuse me, wherefore then hast thou thought such a thing against the people of God? For the king doth speak this thing as one which is faulty, in that the king doth not fetch home again his banished. For he must needs die, and are as waters spilt on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Neither doth God respect any person, yet doth he devise means that his banished be not expelled from him. Now therefore that I am come to speak of this thing unto my lord the king, it is because the people have made me afraid. And thy handmaid said, I will now speak unto the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of his handmaid. For the king will hear to deliver his handmaid out of the hand of the man that would destroy me and my son together out of the inheritance of God. Then thine handmaid said, the word of the Lord, the word of my lord the king shall now be comfortable. For as an angel of God, so is my lord the king to discern good and bad. Therefore the Lord thy God will be with thee. Then the king answered and said unto the woman, hide not from me, I pray thee, the thing that I shall ask thee. And the woman said, let my lord the king now speak. Let me just finish those 2 more verses. And the king said, is not the hand of Joab with thee in all this? And the woman answered and said, as thy soul liveth, my lord the king, none can turn to the right hand or to the left from aught that my lord the king hath spoken. For thy servant Joab, he bade me, and he put all these words in the mouth of thine handmaid. To fetch about this form of speech hath thy servant Joab done this thing, and my lord is wise, according to the wisdom of an angel of God, to know all things that are in the earth. So I like this. She secures from David this promise that her son will be protected. No harm will come to him. And once he's given this promise, she says, well, let me say one other thing. He says, if you're giving me this promise, why don't you make the same promise to your son? You said that I can bring my son back and nobody will harm him. Why don't you bring your son back? Even God has a way of bringing back his wayward children. Why can't you? And that's when David says, wait a minute. This is a little too on the nose. This has to be Joab setting this up. And so he says, look, you answer me one question. Did Joab put you up to this? And she admits it. But I like her description of David too. She says, what was that? Let me flip back to this here. For as an angel of God, so is my Lord the King to discern good and bad. In other words, David's judgment is well known and people respect it. David is known for passing good judgment. He is a great king. He has always been a great king. In the case of his own family, he has failed because of his own affair. But for the people in general, he has always given good rulings. Whenever any matter is brought to him, he is just, he is good. Everything is good. And the people know that. The people trust his judgment. And she's saying, I think this is the greatest part of this whole thing, is that she's not just saying, why don't you do it? If you promised it to my son, why aren't you doing it for your son? And I love that comparison. Even God has a way to reclaim those who he has expelled. So that those who have been cast out from God still have a chance of coming back to him. God has set it up so that there is still that chance. If they want to come back, they can. Why don't you do the same thing? But then I love how she puts that in the end, where she says, I know that your judgments are good. So if it is good for me, and you know it's good for me, then you know it's good for you. I know you know it. And that's what she's saying. You already know what you should be doing, and you're not doing it. Why aren't you doing it? And she's right to some extent. There is some, as I say, some questions as to the legalities and moralities of all of this. But it all comes down to David. He doesn't have the moral standing to really do anything. And he knows it, and he realized, and this is, yes, Absalom should be brought back because the whole situation is just ridiculous. But I have rambled on enough, so we will end that here, and we'll finish this chapter in the next video.